I'm here with Kai Velez, current candidate for mayor of Orlando. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, good. I'm good. So, I just want to ask, how you feel about you're the candidate for mayor of Orlando, not Orange County, Orlando.
I actually feel really good. I was born and raised here, and I really care a lot about the people that are in my city. I'm just really excited to actually stand up for what's right for us and really target the issues that are facing most of the Orlando community.
Okay. Do you feel like the current mayor? Well, he's been mayor for 19 years. Do you feel like has he been helping the people of Orlando?
I'm going to be quite honest, I'm not the type of person to talk about fellow politicians and things like that, but I really feel like he hasn't done enough for the working class. Most of the budget is going to tourism, and it's not really allocated into areas that are really important, such as affordable housing, alternative resources for infrastructure, access to food, and different things like that. He hasn't been really focused on us, and I think that it's time that we have a fresh face in office that really relates to the people that are here in Orlando and can really try and push to get these things done.
Got you. How old are you, Kai?
I'm 24.
Okay. You're, how do you feel about being, if you win, about being the youngest? Where are you from?
Here in Orlando, I was born and raised.
What's your nationality?
I'm Puerto Rican, Taino to be exact.
How do you feel about being the youngest Hispanic woman if you were to win? Do you feel pressured?
No, I don't feel pressured at all. We're all equal at the end of the day, and anything that a man can do, a woman can do as well. So I'm really excited to actually stand up and be like, hey, being the first woman to be in office would be an incredible thing, just in general. But for me personally, it would make the biggest impact because I always wanted to make a difference. And this is something that anyone can do. This position was created for everyday citizens to come into office. Doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter what race, what gender, what class of wealth you have or anything like that. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're real with us and that you stand for us, and that's it.
And I know a lot of people ask, and they will ask, why do you qualify to be a mayor? They might ask what certain degree you have, what school did you go to, and all that stuff. We know none of that stuff matters as far as qualifications to run for mayor because obviously, currently, you are the candidate for mayor of Orlando 2023. What do you have to say to those people that questions your qualifications when you are already on the ballot running for mayor? Because it only takes a person to run. What do you say to them?
Well, I say to them that there are only 3 requirements to run for Orlando mayor. The first one is that you've been a resident for more than a year, that you reside within Orlando jurisdiction, and there's one other thing. But literally there are 3 requirements and I meet all 3. So that's my qualifications for running for mayor. I also do have a great background in education. I learned, I was always in honors and AP classes. I was very advanced and gifted. So I always focused on government growing up. That was my passion and has always been my passion. I've been obsessed with it. So even though I may not have the education that people desire me to have, at the end of the day, I do have the experience to back it up. I've been hungry, been homeless, lived in poverty. I've been treated disrespectfully by racists. I've been discriminated upon for being bisexual. These are normal issues that need to be taken care of that the current mayor of Orlando is not doing. So that's my qualifications, that I'm willing to speak up and stand up for you and for what's right.
And what do you think about, we know that there's a lot of issues in Florida, but you're running for mayor of Orlando. We know there's a lot of issues affecting the entire state of Florida. What do you think about human trafficking? What are you going to do about human trafficking?
That's a really good question, actually. So I don't really have I'm not in charge of the entire state. I'm not even in charge of the county. I would be in charge of specifically Orlando. Orange County mayor would have more control over human trafficking than I would, because actually Orange County is third in the country for human trafficking. So that would be more on them, but I'd be happy to assist in including training the police department further. I also want to introduce educational courses in schools, for like the older kids in high school, to teach them about sex ed properly, because this is where it starts. If you're not aware of your body anatomy, if you're not aware of what these predators are doing, you're an easy target. I myself struggled with that growing up. Like, I myself was a child sex abuse victim, and I didn't know about my body. I didn't know how to defend myself. I didn't know nothing. I was 3. So at the end of the day, teaching children like about their body is the best course of defense that we have for fighting against human trafficking, because if they can tell you when, where, how, and why they touched them, then that's more than enough for the police to convict that person. Because nobody is gonna, oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
But nobody's gonna say like, oh, it's really hard to fight a case for a child when they don't have the knowledge to be able to say, this is where they touched me, this is what they did. That's what I'm trying to get the point across. So education is a priority for that.
Yes, good. What do you think about women's rights and abortion?
So, I myself,
Make it short.
I myself am pro-choice. I'm pro-mind my own business, because at the end of the day, what somebody else does not impact me. So you can do whatever you want as long as you're not affecting my rights. And abortion, to me, like we have in Florida, the 15-week ban. That to me is enough time for a woman to find out that they're pregnant, and enough time to receive that medical procedure that is necessary for them, that is right for them. I'm not trying to oppress anybody. My mission is to protect everybody. That's it.
Do you think woman that doesn't want a child after she got pregnant should be forced to keep the child?
No. Period. End of story. If it doesn't fit into their life plan, who am I to tell them what they have to do? That's forced birth. That's not okay. And what is the system going to do for these children after they're born? Are they going to be provided health care? Are they going to be provided food stamps? Are they going to be provided Section 8 housing? What are you going to provide these parents that didn't want the children in the first place, that can't afford these children because of everything going on, including inflation? What are you going to do for them? I can't do much as mayor when it comes to helping these poor parents that are going through this. But I think it's time for us to stand up to our politicians and tell them, hey, it's none of your business. You cannot make laws that impact somebody else that doesn't impact the other person. Like you're pretty much saying, oh, I'm going to control a woman more, regulate her more than when I regulate a man. A man can get a vasectomy any age, but a woman has to be 27 years old or have 3 kids in order to get their tubes tied. That needs to stop too. That's regulation of women's bodies, and it's not okay.
Do you think when a woman gets an abortion, if the state allows her to, that she should consult with the man that got her pregnant, and the man should have a choice in the saying of her having an abortion also?
So again, it's the woman's body. It's mainly the woman's choice. But most people that have an abortion, like when I had my miscarriage, this was discussed because I was developing sepsis. Me and my husband sat down and we had that discussion about me having to get the procedure done. At that point, it was no other choice. It was my life or death. That's it. So I really feel like these people are probably already having the discussion. But if it's in the case of rape, why should they have to talk to the rapist to get an abortion? That's not okay.
Well,
they committed a crime.
beside the rapist, if it was if you're married and you got pregnant, should you talk to your husband, and should he have a decision about you having an abortion? And if he disagrees with you, if you're married and he disagrees, but you still choose to have an abortion, what do you think about that?
There's obviously severe miscommunication within that marriage, because normal marriages, healthy marriages, these people would come together as a team and discuss it. That marriage, if that person goes behind the other person's back and has the abortion without consulting with them, that's a toxic relationship right there, because open communication is one of the most important things to develop a healthy relationship. I honestly feel like if the woman really doesn't want to carry the pregnancy, but the man wants the baby, if the man's going to provide for the baby and take care of the baby, what's the problem? Y'all two are in a consensual marriage together, and if the father of your child is going to raise it, going to take care of you and your health and everything, what's the problem? My husband took care of me after my kids were born. What's the problem?
What if they're not married and they're just dating, but you got
that's
pregnant?
a whole different circumstance altogether. I believe that a marriage is a union. When you're dating, that's a completely different scenario. Like if you've been, let's just say like
if you got pregnant while you were dating.
Oh no, I don't.
Does the man has any say in it?
I mean, it depends on how long you've been with the person. And genuinely speaking, I'm the kind of person that no matter what, I would talk to the other person before I have the abortion. That's just a normal thing to do, is just communicate it. But at the end of the day, if the woman chooses to have the abortion because they've been dating for such little time and they don't know if they can trust that person, because at that point you're creating a nuclear family. What if that person doesn't want that? What if that person isn't right for you? That's why these women make these decisions to have an abortion. There's many different circumstances on why. What if the guy was just a one-night stand and she got pregnant? This is a normal situation. She shouldn't have to suffer those consequences. Pregnancy is not a consequence for having sex. Period.
What do you think about the 60-year-old that the judge denied that she has to keep the baby, and they're not providing her any help, but they consider her mature enough to keep the baby, but they're not going to provide any help? So this 16-year-old, the thing I sent you.
Yeah, I saw that. That really upset me.
They're not going to help her in any way. She just has to figure the stuff out. What do you think about that?
Well, let me ask you this. Can a 16-year-old adopt a child from the adoption centers? No, right? So why are you going to force a 16-year-old child to birth a child? You're telling a baby to have a baby, and that is wrong in my eyes. That child has their whole life ahead of them, maybe even had a career plan, and then they got pregnant. Children make irresponsible mistakes all the time. They're learning how to navigate their world.
That's what kids do.
Exactly. Just because they're having sex doesn't mean that they have to carry a pregnancy. That is wrong. They're kids, bro.
Now, some might say that you say kids are kids. Some might say, where was the parent at to make the 16-year-old go about her business and get pregnant? Where was the parent at to parent her?
So I was a teenage girl, so you know I know the secrets. I went behind my parents' back. What the heck? Like, every child, when they become a teenager, starts testing those boundaries. They want to be able to discover their world. They're going to try and test things. They're going to test your patience as well. This is a normal part of parenting.
So how do we prevent them from getting pregnant at an early age?
Birth control. Educating your child on sex, educating your child on the many different methods of contraception, educating them on the consequences. This is something that's not really taught in school. We have abstinence-only sex ed. Bro, that only made me want to do it more.
Yeah, but the law doesn't provide parents to give their minors birth control.
That's not true. I was on the birth control pill at 16.
That's your time.
Oh, well, they don't do that anymore? Are you kidding me? Nah, we need to get it together. This is some crazy-ish going on right now. I'm frustrated because at the end of the day, who are you to tell me that I can't take a pill to keep myself from getting pregnant?
The same way they told her she got to keep the baby.
No, that's ridiculous. Like, honestly, she's a kid, bro. She's a kid. It would be one thing if she was 18 years old, already graduated high school, and then she made the mistake. Now it's her responsibility.
Some might say you need to know where your kids are going and where they're staying.
Bro,
if she got the time to get pregnant, obviously somebody's gonna say, if she went out at 16 years old, well, she was giving birth at 16. That means
she got pregnant at 15.
Yeah, and so people might say, where was the parental stuff is at?
Oh, well, you want to hear a funny story? I actually know someone who snuck in a boy into their house while their parents were sleeping and did it.
Yeah, so
this happens.
People will ask, how do you prevent that?
You can't. You can't. A child is always going to test boundaries. The only thing you can do is provide proper precautions, hence birth control, hence contraceptives such as spermicides and condoms. There are many different alternatives, man. There's no reason for this. At the end of the day, you shouldn't be regulating a woman's body if you're not going to regulate a man's either. Period.
There you go. So if you're going to regulate a woman, you should also regulate men.
Exactly. If you're expecting a woman to carry a pregnancy to term, have teenage boys, when they start going through puberty, go get a vasectomy, because they're more reversible than a tubal ligation. It's crazy because it takes two to tango and create a baby, but it's not the woman's, it's not the woman that, the woman carries it, but it's not the woman who has yes, we have the egg, but the material that helps create the baby, a man has to ejaculate for that to happen in the first place. The responsibility should really be placed more on men. Yes, we opened our legs, but the men are the one who did it inside of us, period. So why is the responsibility only on women when it's both people's responsibility, but mainly on the man? If he didn't ejaculate in her, she wouldn't have gotten pregnant, period. You can't have a baby without ejaculation. So why are we sitting here trying to place all the responsibility on someone who's just on the receiving end of it?
Tell the people your website, your Facebook, your Instagram, all that stuff.
All right, so my website is Kai, for OrlandoMayor.com. And then my Facebook is Kai for Orlando Mayor, and then my TikTok is also Kai for Orlando Mayor.
Any last words? Why should the people vote for you?
I feel like people should vote for me because I'm going to be very real with y'all. I'm not going to step down for nothing. I'm always going to stand up for you, and I want to hear from you. You guys make up the government. You guys should have just as much say-so. So when I become mayor, I plan to implement a text line that goes to every cell phone here in Orlando, as long as you're registered, and you'll be able to receive polls based on bills and stuff that I will be sending to our governor and to the Senate or Congress, wherever they go. So that way you guys could be well informed of what's going on in my office. Yes. All right, thank you.
Tell me you love them.
I love you guys.